I never planned to live in Australia. I've actually never wanted to come to Australia. Bonjour tout le monde and welcome back for another session of French on my channel Bonjour Mate.
Bonjour mate, bonjour mate, bonjour mate.
Today I'm going to be speaking in English for the most part with a bit of French along the way so that you get to take away from this video some vocabulary or some expressions. I often get on my videos on Instagram and even on YouTube questions like, where are you from? Do you live in Australia? Spoiler alert, I do. And often, how come? How come do you live in Australia? So I'm going to respond to this question today. And it's actually a bit of a weird one. C'est étrange. C'est étrange. Because I haven't chosen to live here. I feel like everything in the universe made me live in Australia. I never planned to live in Australia. Actually, I've actually never wanted to come to Australia. Now this may sound weird. It may sound worse than what it is. It's just that it was not a decision to come here just from the place of wanting to come and visit the country. There were other factors that made me come here. I'll explain all this. But first, let's go back à mon enfance, my childhood. And when I was about 11, I was really into learning geography and all the countries of the world. I was sitting on the floor in my living room. It was summer. I remember the French doors were open. It was a beautiful sunny day. And I was just going through all the countries of the world, especially Africa, because I was fascinated with Africa. But at some point, j'ai posé mon doigt sur l'Australie, en Australia. And I can't to this day explain what I felt and know what it meant, but I remember that moment. It felt like I was drawn to Australia. J'étais attirée, and like it was une évidence that Australia was part of my life, almost as though I already knew Australia. I know this sounds all weird, but I never spoke about it. I never cared. It never meant anything until much later on. I didn't realize what that moment was until much later. This is what I mean. And so life went on, and when I was a young adult, I would have been 21. Yeah, 21, 22. 21, about to turn 22. 21 ans. J'avais 21 ans. I had just worked a summer season in a beautiful Michelin star restaurant. It's called Le Moulin du Roc. It's in La Dordogne and it's really stunning. And je suis tombée amoureuse du chef. A true story. I was fully in love with a chef, and I think he was too. It was exactly what you could imagine. He would bring me the new dishes that he was about to put on the menu. By the way, he was the sous chef, so that was the main chef who had the Michelin star, and he was his sous chef. Actually, he would bring me to the reception. I was receptionist. His new dishes to try, and anyway, it was a real like summer romance. Until I found out that he was in a relationship for a very long time, so that didn't work out, and I was really, really sad at the time. J'étais triste. And sur un coup de tête, so out of nowhere, I booked tickets to New Zealand. It was October, and I booked my tickets for the 31st of December. At the time, my mom was like, "Oula, trésor, t'as pas trouvé plus loin? You didn't find further away to go?" It's true, it was far away. And so my mom organized a lunch with those friends that she had met a while back because she gave them kittens. My cat had kittens, and she was like finding homes for them, and they were a really nice couple, and the man was from New Zealand, and so she wanted me to speak to him about it so that he could give me some contacts and things like that, because it was really last minute. I was going on my own. Anyway, he was really nice, and he did give me some contacts, and I didn't really care at the time because I felt fine going by myself. Anyway, I took the contacts. It didn't matter. I was on my plane to get to New Zealand, excited. But I had a first weird little sign about like this feeling that Australia meant something when I flew above the country. Je regardais avec mes yeux émerveillés le paysage from the sky. So I was watching the scenery from my window in the plane. This land that looked like gold and so dry, like a big desert, but I had never seen anything like it. And I was fascinated. I felt drawn to it at that point. I felt, oh, I need to see this from close. But I went to New Zealand. I loved my trip there. I went all the way around both islands. When I ended up in Auckland, I decided to use those contacts, and turned out that I went to stay with them, and they introduced me to their son. And at the time, I thought I was in love with their son. So we had a bit of a relationship going on. And when came the end of my trip, I had to go back to France because I was committed to work again for that same summer job at Le Moulin du Roc. So I went back to France thinking, that maybe I'll go back to New Zealand one day. Australia was completely out of my mind. But this guy, the Kiwi boy, finds a job in Melbourne. And he messages me from Melbourne and says, hey, I'm in Melbourne now. It's great. We should come and hang out. And I was like, oh yeah, I could go to Melbourne. I could go to Australia after my summer job again. So I jumped onto a plane at the end of my summer job, and I was in Melbourne. When I touched foot, literally those first few steps outside of the airport, I was like, this is home. I felt at home. Et je me sentais chez moi, comme chez moi, à la maison. I lived there for 3 years, and then we broke up. And he went back to New Zealand. So although I felt at home at the start, at that point when he went back to New Zealand, I felt lonely here, and things were happening at home. My sister was having a baby, things like that. So I decided to fly back home, thinking that, maybe I'll go back, but maybe that was it. Maybe that was my Australian experience, those 3 years. And it was already a great experience. Anyway, while I'm in France, 6 months in, I meet somebody again. He was Portuguese, and I started to sort of live with him because I didn't have a home anymore down there. So I was sort of like in between houses. And while I was gardening, but I have to explain first where he lived. He lived up on the hills behind the town of Le Lavandou, which is where I'm from, in like hills that have no houses. There's no neighbors. Like it's wild. There's nothing. And I'm gardening, but I'm gardening in a garden that's never existed. Like I'm just literally like removing, there's no one has ever made a garden there. And I'm digging deep, and I pull out. Wait, this is crazy. C'est hallucinant. I pull out of the ground un porte-clés, a key ring that has a koala on it with written, I love Australia. Mais d'où vient ce porte-clés? D'où vient ce porte-clés? I can't explain it today. Where does this key ring came from? Like it was there in the middle of pure wilderness. Et je suis désolée, mais pour moi ça c'était un signe. And I'm not someone who is constantly like looking for signs. I'm not one of those girls who's like, it's 11:11, ooh, signs. And I'm not judging, but I'm not like that. It's fine to be like that, but I am not. So, but at that point, yes, I did see a sign into it, and I was like, I have to go back to Australia. I have to go back to Australia. I found this thing, like it's a sign, I have to go back. It was in the back of my head, but this was a confirmation. I have to go back. And I still had 1 year left on my visa, so I had to go. And this Portuguese boyfriend was like, oh, I'll come along. So he came with me, and we traveled all around Australia. We bought a car in Darwin, and we drove from Darwin to Townsville, then we went to Cairns, then we went all the way down to Sydney and Melbourne. So we did a big trip. Our relationship didn't work out. We were just friends in the end. But soon after our relationship ended, I met my now husband, mon mari. And, I had cancer. And Australia saved my life. The doctors here, the hospital where I was, I can't explain to you how lucky I was to be treated here. The care I received was incredible. The urgency that they put into me, the fact that I didn't even have Medicare, I'm not an Australian citizen, but I didn't even have the funds to pay, but I did have private health insurance that covered my chemotherapy, but none of all the other things. Well, they still started everything for me straight away, and we paid off the things little by little. I did a GoFundMe, and Australian society was just so good to me. And then, when I was in remission, soon after that, 9 months afterwards, I fell pregnant, which was a miracle, a miracle, as they had, during my cancer treatment, they put me in menopause you get an injection every month to turn off your ovaries. And they said to me, it's possible that you won't be able to have children because of the chemotherapy, but also because of that. So it was a miracle. And when my son was born, I rethought about that moment, quand j'avais 11 ans. That little girl sitting on the floor, putting her finger, son doigt, on the map of Australia and feeling something. But to this day, I can't describe, I can't explain, but I remember it clearly. So I know there was something. Voilà. Et voilà pourquoi je suis en Australie. J'ai mes 2 fils. Voilà, they are Australian, half French, but I'm very proud of the fact that they are Australian. It's with their birth that this need of me to share my culture, French culture, came. Despite how much I love living in Australia, I want to make sure that my sons know their roots from France, and it's what has motivated me in that need to share French language and French culture as much as I do. Voilà mon histoire, voilà pourquoi je suis en Australie. Et voilà. Now, if you've experienced things like that, where you felt like it was destiny, it's weird to say it because, we want to think that we're in control. But yeah, it feels a bit like that. It feels like it was written for me. So let me know in the comments if you've experienced things like this. Yeah, voilà. Tout simplement. And I hope you enjoyed this video, my little experience of how I ended up living here in Australia without ever really choosing it. But I choose it now. Je le choisis maintenant. I really hope that in the future I can do half a year in Australia, half a year in France, when we can afford it. Voilà. Bisous. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoy my content, please click subscribe because it does help me. It really does. It makes a difference to my life. So if you do this, you make a difference to my life. Bisous. Et à bientôt.